this place or we'll be late.
Make a left on Astrology Avenue. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant right. It should be right here. 444 Spearway. Oh, turn.
It looks like Renee. Yay, we're on time.
The James and Kelly Show.
Great, let's start the show.
Okay.
Hi, Kelly.
Let's show everybody.
How you doing there, Kelly?
Oh, I'm just great. How about you?
Just floating along, rough seas, but we're staying.
Rough sea. Show everybody your hat.
I found this at the store today. I went to a women's clothing store. Now, why would I go to a women's clothing store? Well, I had a good time. Gender bending, all that stuff. There was actually a really nice mala they had in the window on this the top, this woman's top, a really nice mala. So I asked who made that, and this hat was there at the time. And I thought, oh, and so it reads is
Chaos coordinator.
So there you go.
It's so perfect.
And I had a very chaotic weekend. And I thought, what else can go awry? So
I
it's
know
like,
you did.
yeah. Lost my wallet. Had a hacker. Had my statement stuff being wrong on my my computer, my credit cards, and someone hacked into my credit cards and all that stuff. And what can you do? I don't know who has my wallet. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's been canceled anyway.
I mean, it's just so crazy sometimes. You're just gonna laugh because if you don't laugh, you really it's like wow. So
it really is.
How was your weekend, Kelly?
Actually, Saturday was great because we did our part 2 for our Lemuria and Atlantis. Oh, it was great. It was even more powerful than the first one. So it was just great. And I think everybody really learned a lot and had a really good experience from it. So thank you for asking. It was really good.
Good. Hello, Sandra. We have a lot of people. I've noticed Dick Humps, Susan, Doreen, Nicole. A lot of people from my soul care this morning.
Oh,
so,
good.
Me, yes.
Thank you, man. Hi, Amy. Hi, Charlene. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Sue Wells. Loves the hat. Yes.
Loves the hat. Well, these people say we always make them happy. Oh, thanks, Teresa. I appreciate that. Hey,
I was talking to Kelly earlier today. I was just, I forgot I was telling Kelly that I went to the store, obviously, today. But I was actually looking for stuff for my house to get ready for the doggies are coming in 2 weeks. My doggies. So I want to have a moment to go out. So I'm just trying to get, pillowcases, sheets, all that sort of stuff because I have a lot of people here in August. And Gordon Smith is coming with his assistant and so forth. So it was pretty weird because the whole 2 aisles of the store were filled with Halloween things. And we're in July, right? We're in July.
Yeah.
Oh, just checking. July 25th, I believe. And so, so I got a couple of Halloween, but it was Halloween everywhere. And I saw the lady in the aisle, Halloween. And she goes, I said, oh, I was looking for Christmas. Will that be next week?
It'll be next week.
And in a crazy time we're living in, and then they do that to us. It's like, whoa, where are we? Whoa. So
it's so crazy.
Yeah. I got a cup. I got a Halloween cup, which I thought was pretty good.
Let me see your Halloween cup. Mine's coming. Oh, but potion. Okay, I love it. And
some coffee in here. Potion.
I don't care what's in that.
They also had they had dish towels, and they said psychic readings with crystal balls on it. So
did you get any?
Of course. I get you one, got me one.
Oh, I can't wait. This was so much fun. Gotta laugh, right?
Gotta laugh.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, there's a lot of good a lot of interesting things coming up.
How are your puppies, James? They're not back yet, Susie. They're back August 14th. I get them. So I went to visit them last week on Thursday, and they were really wonderful. They're getting a little bit of adolescence. They're getting a little older, but they're still that high energy for Australian Shepherds. And the very interesting thing is Minnie, the dark dog, the blue Merle, is really coming into empowering herself because they've been training them separately. So she's not really tagging along with Pearl. Pearl's the alpha. So Minnie's kind of coming to her own, which is really great. And they obviously know what they're doing. So it's good. I'm excited. I'm really excited to have them home and getting everything ready because the moment they get here, my life is gone.
And they know the commands.
They know the commands. They know about 9 different commands right now, and they listen. And leash, they have the leash on them, which is great. But they know sit, they know down, they know stay, they know leave. And,
do they know come?
They know come, and they go bed, go to bed. They go down they go to the mat, and go to sleep. Go to mat, go to sleep.
That's great.
And I said to her, "What about toilet training?" And she goes, "No, they know. They go right to the door." I said, "Good." Just want to know that because I hadn't had enough time to poop the poop world. Yeah,
Oh, that's right. You sure did. Yeah.
I sure did. I
Yeah.
said a fencing and everything. I'm a very dedicated daddy.
I-
I went to Home Depot like 20 times with different fencing, grades, gates.
Oh,
I have so many gates. So I think we have an exciting topic tonight, but what's going on astrologically? Because there's definitely been a
oh.
shift. Let me just mention this: a change from even last week
Mhm.
to this week.
Yeah.
So tell us about that,
Well,
Kelly.
this is going to be a real humdinger of a week. We'll just call it like this.
Humdinger,
A humdinger. You know,
Coordinator is ready. Okay.
coordinator is ready. I'm glad you prepared for this
Oh
because
yeah, I do.
we have quite a week coming up. The first thing, and there's some major events that happen, and so pay attention, everybody. On July 28th, which is on
Yeah.
Thursday, so July 28th, we have a new moon, and that new moon happens to be in Vedic astrology. It's in Cancer, so Cancer is a water sign. So it's
Mhm,
going to bring out a lot of emotions for a new moon. It's going to bring out a lot of emotions.
mhm.
Also, Cancer has to do with security. And so people might be feeling insecure with this new moon. So a new
Kelly,
moon,
let me interrupt you for a second for this. So Cancer in the moon, new moon. Cancer also would be with a family. So would that be security about family? Or
family, career, health, home, loved ones. You know, people are making a lot of changes. If you've noticed, James, they're
what?
making a lot of changes right now. People are passing away, they're being born, people are buying homes, they're selling their homes, they're
Yeah,
changing careers. It seems like at this
every
period,
day.
every day it's a big one, right? And
Yeah.
so I feel that people are going to be feeling possibly insecure or overwhelmed and or anxious during this
I already
particular
have.
you
I got that because it was just so ridiculous. You have to laugh at it because it does.
right,
I don't know how many of you guys feel pushed for pushing and pushing and pushing. And it was like you said last week, the rough seas. And it's like, wow, how many times you go
yeah.
back and forth with it. But I mean, that's part of it. You got to look at that and then what do we do with that, right?
And if what do we do with it? And so I mean I always think that education about things is important here, but
Oh,
and also, James, that Cancer um, deals with nourishment. So what are we talking about with nourishment? It could be, frankly, of the mind and the body and the spirit. So make sure that you're eating well, you're eating nutritiously, you're putting good thoughts in your mind. You know, even though you might be a little anxious, start learning to calm yourself and stay really grounded. I think it's
right. So I
really important.
said it, Kelly. I think exactly what you just said is the key. And the key is when you get that point, everybody, of if he is crazy and anxious and mad, let that be your point of like, oh, that's it. I got to calm down now. That reminds me, I've got to calm down and ground myself. So when those things
It's
are crazy,
great.
wait a minute, breathe in, and that's a
Right.
reminder to calm it down. So when you have those moments of that, that's a reminder to calm it down. So I said this week when I lost my wallet and I lost my credit
Yeah.
cards, got that guy shot almost came from my car, and it's like, wow, I was like, calm it down, just ground it, and just see what's going on here because there's a lot of stuff which is out of our control. And all you
Right.
know is how we respond to things. So let that be your guiding point, if you will. And say, okay, it's going to look crazy. Breathe and calm down. It is what it is, and that's all that it is. Don't make it
It
more than it is.
You mentioned something on your show today. You talked about going, I think it was to a garden, and you talked about seeing a turtle. Is that
Yeah,
what you told me?
a tortoise.
A
So I went,
tortoise.
yes, this
Okay.
old guy Joe, who I love. Joe, he's an old Mexican guy who's had this garden guy. I don't know, he must be in his late 70s, and just a nice, sweet man, and very proud man. And I'm doing something with some vases around my outside because once the dog is here, I won't be able to do any gardening. So he's helped me. He's helped me with that anyway. So today I went back to return one of the vases I was checking out, which is, by the way, where I thought I lost my wallet was this garden store. And he hasn't found it. And I said, Joe, where are you? And I'm looking down this little, I don't know, crevice, down this little area in the back of this alley. And there he is. And there's this big old tortoise, and he's feeding the tortoise fruit. And the tortoise is a girl who's about 10 years old.
Oh,
And she's beautiful and just eat that fruit. And I said, Joe, I have a fruit tree. I have extra fruit. I'll bring that fruit over. Oh, she loves fruit full time. And she was beautiful. I've never seen a tortoise move so quickly, by the way, Kelly. The
well, you
tortoise
said
moved
she
so
was only 10 because they live
oh,
to be 100. They
wow.
live a long time. So
Wow.
she was a teenager.
She was a teenager. And I said, do you have a mate for her? He goes, we tried two males, but they wouldn't. They fought her. She didn't like it.
Oh, but
And
what's
what does that mean?
important, well,
Totem.
tortoises are different than turtles in that sense that they're from the land, they're on the ground. And so tortoises mean to be grounded. And so I was going to say, if anybody's really, really anxious, especially during this period of time, maybe if you can remember that we're saying this, visualize a tortoise, get a picture of one and go, oh, yeah, I need to be in my body. I need to be grounded. They're really wonderful totems. Exactly, James.
What about a snail, Kelly?
A snail it's a good one. It's a good totem. I mean, it really means to slow down.
Slow down, right? I would think it's like
Yeah.
slow down.
Slow down. Slow down. That's exactly what it means.
I always repeat that to myself. It is what it is, and that's all that it is.
Yeah.
Don't make it. The problem with the human mind, the brains, the humans can create such havoc with their world and world with their thoughts. So
yeah.
it's really important at this time we really just balance our thoughts. Don't go crazy. The world's crazy enough. Don't get caught up in that phonetic energy out there, astrologically, it's going on. Right. Don't let other people's emotions and outrageous and tremendous tempers or emotional reactions set you off. Don't do it. It's now a time to be mindful, be very aware. Kelly said something the other day, which I thought was great. He said it's about, what was the moments? You've got to monitor your thoughts and your words. Now's the time to monitor. I love that.
Thank you. You do have to, because it's all about the law of attraction. You will bring that to you. If you're anxious and drama filled, you're going to bring more of that to you. If you're calm and you monitor your thoughts and you want to keep your awareness in a good place and your consciousness in a good place, we'll all get through this. We all will. And we're going to talk about what we've come here to do in this life in just a minute. I just want to finish this up, James. We also, on July 28th, have Jupiter now going retrograde again in Pisces in Vedic astrology. And when a planet goes retrograde, it slows down very, very much. And when Pisces is another water sign. And so when this happens, it will bring a lot of changes, necessary changes to our life, actually. And you have to remember the thing with Jupiter is it's the planet of expansion. So it can expand in abundance and in your wishes and all of these things, but it also can expand in the things that we don't want to look at. So maybe things that have been too painful or uncomfortable. But on the flip side of all of that, it can expand your awareness and your consciousness. So this is going to be a really important Jupiter going retrograde. It's going to be very important for all of us, actually.
And in Pisces, I mean, if something needs to be healed, you first have to become aware of it. So it's to come to the surface to be healed. So you have to see it first. See it, be aware of it before.
All right. And then the last thing that I've been talking about for a month at least, or even couple of months here, is at the end of the month, July 31st and August 1st, we have a triple conjunction, and it's very powerful. Extremely powerful. It's Mars, Uranus, and Rahu in Vedic astrology. It's at 24 degrees of Aries. When these three aspects come together, Mars and Uranus, Mars is a planet of war, Uranus is the planet of surprise. When these two planets come together, they also bring accidents. So I want everybody to drive slower, to pay attention, stay in your body. I cannot tell you how many people I have now that have broken hips, legs, arms, ankles. And I mean, every time the phone rings, I'm assuming it's somebody who's hurt themselves. So you really want to watch yourself.
Stay in your body is exactly right. Be cognizant of being centered in your body, because even there's chaotic times, a lot of people want to get out of the body where it's easier to be out there. They don't want to pay attention to what's happening. So you might trip over a step. You might fall down a driveway. Be very, very careful. I'm not even doing a lot of gardening during now because I'm not sure the footing. And funny enough, I was going to do some paragliding today, and Kelly said, "No, you're not."
No. His Mars is at 25 degrees Aries. I said, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way you can go.
It's in your
There's no
death
way."
house. I said,
Yeah,
okay, I'm not
it's in the
ready.
death house for you. I was like, there's no way. I understood exactly how you could do everything you do in the world because you sit right at the world access with this. And so I thought, wow, I know I got fully why you could do it, how you could do it. But this one, I was like, I called him on Saturday after my big event, and I was like, look, honey, you can't. You just can't. Don't do it. You cannot do it. So I'm so thanks for listening. I do
Well,
appreciate it.
yeah, from you, of course. I mean,
Oh my God. But I'll tell you, the energy is going to be very intense, and it could lead to a lot of big changes in the world. So I want everybody to remember we wanted to be here during this time period because why? Our souls are going to grow. So having talked about that, James, tell us.
transformation.
It's all about transformation where our souls are constantly growing. And that's why we came here during this time. We planned this to be here during this time.
My nieces, good friends of mine, their mother and father who are in their 90s. I got a text over the weekend or last week that his father, who was 92, passed away on Sunday.
Mm.
And I was the mother and father were very close. The mother passed away Monday.
Oh,
They were so connected.
wow.
And I've
Yes.
got a lot of transitions now.
A lot of transitions.
A lot of
Yeah.
babies coming in, a lot of babies lost, like a lot of pregnancies stopping,
Yeah.
and those aren't punishments, everybody. It's
Oh,
we're
no.
sold having experiences. There's no punishments. It's just experiences. It really
And I
is.
think that some souls did not sign up for the next part of our lessons that come in. They just didn't sign up for it. You know how we lost a lot of people before COVID? All of a sudden, suddenly, people were going. Now, the people that you'd be stunned about, how did this happen? Right before COVID, they didn't sign up for it in their soul contract. They didn't sign up to be here during that period. Just like that, we have some other energies that come in, and so many people would not have signed up for them. So let's talk about how we plan, James, on the other side.
Well, a lot of people talk about past lives and so forth, and I worked a lot with Dr. Brian Weiss, who did Many Lives, Many Masters, and we worked for many years together. And his work, and Ian Stevenson's work, and many other uh, teachers and professors and therapists and so forth. Helen Wambach, therapist,
Yes. Yeah.
did an incredible book, Life Before Life, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And I always base my truth on several different, many experiences in life, plus books I read, different experiences, listening to different people, and then I form my own sense of things. And from all of my experiences, I do believe, because we're outside of time in that world, that realm, and that we have a pre-planning before we choose to come back in this incarnation. We sit with our guides and our teachers, if you will, and we will at one point sit down, get together with them and really work out, if you will, our chart. And the chart has to do a lot with karmic obligations. Perhaps some karmic obligations we have. Maybe we have to learn what it's like to be, I don't know, how can we say this? There's so many different experiences and opportunities. Think of them in those classes, and whether, let's say, so many different ones. You lost a child in this lifetime. Maybe in the lifetime before that, you went early, and that's all I had to learn what it's like to lose someone. There's all different lessons: forgiveness, compassion, being patient. There's so many different
Forgiveness. Yeah. Big one.
that classes that we sign up for, and we usually will sign up with those soulmates, friends, family members that we've lived with lifetimes before. So I like to simplify it, saying, think of it as a stage play. And that we take on different roles in different lifetimes, because we have to learn what it's like to be a grandmother who lost a daughter, to lose a son, or that something else happens in life. We take on these different roles and we we act each part out, if you will, from a different perspective, from the soul's perspective as a son, or a grandparent, or a friend, someone who comes back for substance abuse, someone who does suicide, all these different violent deaths, easy, having a lot of money, maybe. These are all lessons that we take on these different roles, and we learn from these experiences. So we really can't judge that other people, because they're just learning their roles. They're just learning how to be. And we will pick the exact time, with help from the spirit guides, if you will, keep it very simple, that is the most opportune time for that soul to come into an incarnation, down to, tell you more about that, down to the second.
Down
And
to
the
the second.
second, we take our first breath. It doesn't matter if it's cesarean, it doesn't matter if it's natural child, but it's when we take that first breath, that prana of life. That's when it starts counting. Now, so stillborn, abortion, miscarriages, those things are all, believe it or not, destiny. I believe
Yeah,
destiny.
I do too.
And I do believe that perhaps, because I read about this talking to heaven, abortion, let's say, miscarriage. I think that abortion itself, to me, what I've heard, is a lesson for the mother about self-worth, and that soul has chosen that now. This, when we say abortion, that soul isn't in the body. It's just material. It's just,
Or also, sometimes the soul only needs a small amount of time to have that experience, and then decides to do something else.
exactly. And a miscarriage could be that it's preparing for the next soul to come through. It's preparing the body for the next soul to come in,
Yeah,
and that wasn't.
absolutely.
And it's just, and even divorce is agreed upon. There, all the experiences. Sometimes it's karmic. So, and now let's think another lifetime, a past life. We went through this experience, these situations, and we chose a certain way. And because of the choice we made, maybe not great things happened to us, or didn't happen to other people. In this lifetime, we'll have those opportunities again. And maybe we pass and we think, wow, I could have been better with that situation. I should have learned that. I should have been able to take that test and pass it over. I should have used more compassion. I should have used more forgiveness or understanding. If I do it again next time, maybe I'll have more of it. So what that does, it brings them, if you will, built up the soul personality. And we will have in the next lifetime that exact same situation or very close to it. And we really have to rely on our soul's awareness, intelligence to get us to make the right choice. And that's why I always tell people, I teach people about intuition, the soul's language. The more you can use and honor that gift of intuition, that ability of yourself, that you'll make the right choice for your soul. That's true. So,
And
yeah. Go
I
on.
was going to say, I always believe too that while we're planning our life plan, while we're planning, making our decisions of what we're going to do and what we want to study here in this dimension, that we have a primary theme. And I can tell you that my primary theme in this lifetime is helping humanity. So no matter what it would have
Our
been, how
responsibility too.
responsibility
From your
definitely has
birth,
been,
you know it's
oh my
about
God.
responsibility.
Well,
Yeah,
ultimately it is responsibility. You're absolutely right, for
for
humanity
everyone.
and for everyone. And then thank you for reminding me. It is responsibility.
I
And
will.
and then
I made that agreement with you. I will.
I know, thanks, honey. And then we, aside from having a primary theme, then we have like a secondary theme. So that might be, what is our biggest obstacle to overcome? So
Yeah.
let's say maybe you had family to overcome, or you had boundaries, or you had to learn patience. That might be part of your plan as well.
And it's important to note, everybody, that it's not just about you. You picked that great best opportunity at the best time for you, including family order, right?
Right,
You
right.
want to work with those other family members and friends, soulmates, because we tend to come back in group souls, the soul group. So it's and the soul group is evolving. You are just part of that soul group. So it's not good that just you evolve. That group has to evolve as a whole. So how can you
Right,
help others to grow? It doesn't matter if you just grow, everybody's got to grow. Same with the
right.
world. So if we just
Absolutely.
that out. That's really what we're here for, to help everybody. But
Right.
first you realize you have a soul group. That's family and that's friends. And I think that the most important medicine, or the healing aspect you could bring to family, to friends, because they work a lot with families and they don't talk to each other, whether it's siblings or mothers or fathers or husbands and wives, they don't speak. They don't, whether it's not forgiving. And the best thing you could do is forgive that soul. And my good friend here, Kelly, told me years ago, I've said this many times, that soul might be limited in their awareness. They might not understand. So be better then. Take the high road. Be bigger then.
Well, then somebody asked me a question, James, and this is a good question and a good time for this question. And what do you think of this? This is from Jacqueline Sherwood. And Jacqueline, I appreciate this question. She talks about being very anxious. And she says that when we transition, does the mind go with the soul? In other words, does our anxiety go with the soul when we pass away?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think that first of all, we got to understand that the soul is the mind is the soul, right? And the brain is an organ that dies a physical death. But within the mind has all those experiences, memories, personality, the awareness. So a part of that personality may be a sense of anxiousness. So you might think of yourself being anxious. It won't do much for you on the other side of life. It doesn't work, go anywhere with that.
Okay.
There'll be nothing. There'll be no feedback. Nothing will come from that. Same with, let's say you have in your mind, there's a memory of you like to drink, and you have a cocktail. Well, you might remember it as the taste of it, but it won't have a hit because you're not physical. I think that there are things like mental processes working out. So that anxiousness is part of that personality. And when we pass to the side, we see things for what they are. Now we can choose if we want to hold on to those mindsets. And we could, if we want to, we can be with other anxious people too. But
Yeah.
eventually it's going to wear out. Things get worn out. They do this. You wear behaviors out. You wear memories out, if you will, and that will eventually get worn out because you don't need it anymore. It doesn't serve it. It doesn't serve a purpose,
Right.
and it
Right.
doesn't serve a purpose down here either on this earth. It's
No,
not anxious.
it really
It's not.
doesn't.
It's
Oh my gosh.
stress. I was just like Kelly before we went on. I said, I really been a lot lately. It's been inspired. And I did an event Sunday, and I'm really inspired. To tell people. I just had a friend down here a couple weeks ago, and all I saw around her was worry. And I said, we can't worry because worry is a wasted. It's wasting that creative force, that prana, that energy that we have, that creative force to do things with. If we use that to worry, it's this phonetic energy which we're not doing anything with.
So wasted energy.
Wasted energy. We can
Mhm.
turn that into creativity. We can turn that into making the world better for some people and animals. We can do that. Don't waste your time worrying. You can't change people. All you can do is you can't control others, can't control people. You can only control how you respond. And boundary work too is really a good way to be
Well, and that
responsible.
might be one of the things that in your pre-life that before you came in, you said, I want to work on boundaries. So then what would happen is you would receive a bunch of people in your life that pushed your boundaries. So you'd have to learn how to do boundaries.
That's how you learn. So
And
we're
that's how
forced,
you learn.
and what we resist persists.
Oh,
So
so
remember that
true.
what this persists. So that, as Clay said, the things that you have to learn, you have those scenarios to teach you that. So if you need to learn about, being detachment and so forth, you're probably going to lose someone in your life that's very close to you, and they're detached from you.
Right.
So there's all these different ways you're going to learn these things. I met a lady the other night who came to my house who was with these people. I didn't know anything about her, and she lost 2 children.
Oh,
Of course, then I realized the person that probably brought it for
wow.
that reason. And I said, well, I wrote a book called Growing Up in Heaven. Now, it was funny because during that day I did an event, same theme came up about losing children with one lady in my audience who lost 2 children. And then that evening was another lady, 2 children. So it was a
Wow.
kind of a theme. So I said, what have they taught you? And she's actually said, I was with a workshop once before with you, but it taught me that, nothing's tangible. There's nothing and everything. You don't own someone. It's that love that you remember that helps you. And she goes, hopefully that'll help you change your life. If you have that child for that's few moments, remember the love that child has. What has that taught you? I said, exactly. When people go, they leave gifts behind, but we have to have that courage and faith to unwrap that gift and use what's in there. And maybe it's some gifts they left us to remind us of who we should be and who we are.
Well, it's what you just said is courage. You really, when you sign up to be here, you have to have a bucket full of courage to be here. You have to be courageous. And here's something from Karen Beilhartz. And Karen, I really want to read this to James and to everybody. She said, I'm hoping you might be able to help me. My grandson was born and died the same day. This happened 10 days ago. So James, to what you were speaking of, does he know how much we love him and wanted him? And what happens when a baby dies literally within hours of his birth? My daughter and her family are totally devastated, and so am I. Hoping you can help me. We are literally heartbroken. What could be the purpose of this possibly?
Well, I can't say what the exact purpose is because there are probably a lot of different purposes and lessons to learn. But number one, the most important thing is to realize that that's a soul. So you saw it as a baby, but a soul who usually takes that lesson on with that family is an advanced soul.
Yeah.
Advanced soul.
And so's the family.
And
Yeah.
so's the family. And you're all advanced souls. That's a highly
Mhm.
advanced lesson, right? Losing a baby. Because then you go into the whole thing about what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? We start going into our own ego and judgment. What should I have done? Did I do something differently? No, that's how it was destined to be. So what have we learned from this? There's only love from the other side. There's only love. You're never in harm. All a soul might need is that birth experience. A
Yes.
soul just might need to just get that birth experience, and its obligation to the family is done. Its obligation to its own soul's growth is done. So, in a
Interesting.
way,
Yeah.
and it sounds really hard to say this to you because I don't want you to take it the wrong way, but it's incredible that that being only had to be through the birth process. And I've heard this thousands and thousands of times with regressions and with readings I've done that soul only needed that brief time to touch the earth. It doesn't take away the pain, but if you look from a different perspective, that soul just needed that little touching the earth and was able to go back. Wow, that's great because this isn't our world. That's our world. This is our school, and it's a hard school, as Clay said, and it's really a tough school. And only the strong survive here in a way because you got to be tough.
Yeah.
And it's not a punishment that you lost the baby; it's a gift in a way. And we might not understand that right now, but years from now, you might understand that. You might understand that, but like Kelly said, having that courage to go through that, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you guys are highly advanced souls to take that on. I really
The
believe
hardest
that.
lessons are reserved for the
Hardest
highly
left. Yeah,
hardest
absolutely.
lessons.
Absolutely.
I read something, Kelly, from years ago, which I had in my notes here, which I wanted to share with everyone too. Almost always have had past lives, and I worked a lot with past lives, and certain patterns repeat themselves in personalities. And sometimes in another lifetime, we didn't learn about forgiveness or compassion, and we will learn it eventually. It's better if we learn it now.
Yeah.
But we repeat certain patterns until we bring them to love instead of fear. We developed in past lives certain belief systems, feelings about ourselves and the soul, and it knows to be untrue and therefore it wishes to heal. So certain aspects, certain experiences, situations that we did in the past might have not been good for our soul. So we come back to make it better. We come back to heal it. And two of the most common false beliefs or feelings are that as one is powerless and that one is unworthy. Those are the two biggest. Powerless and unworthy. And we could also say love, not loving oneself. And I would say, as a general, that I've found most people on this earth world are lacking of self-love.
Oh,
And
for
I
sure.
social media, TikTok, Instagram, a lot of these, I'm going to say kids because I'm an old man, but there's adoration. I want adoration. I want people to recognize me. And that comes from a sense of not having a sense of self.
Well, it's
Looking at
self-worth. Yeah. I
Right.
deal a lot with self-worth in my readings. A lot. I see a lot of souls that come in with that.
Yeah.
That they have to
Empower-
really learn to empower themselves. They have to learn how to love themselves, to have compassion for what they've gone on, and really to have the power. It's a great expression of not giving a shit. The great power of not giving a shit and just really doing your own thing here takes a lot of courage. But
a
you,
lot
you
of
sign up to do that. You sign up to be you, the individual you. You sign up for this.
And the most important thing to remember is, again, there is no death. There is no death. There's no such thing as death. So
Right.
you get step out of the skin, basically.
Right.
You're just stepping out of the skin, like a breath. You're out of the skin, and you're more aware and alive than you were in the body because you're much more your soul self. This
Yeah.
is just a sliver of our soul. Can you imagine how happy it is? There was a great question here. Someone was asking about this, Kelly. Hold on. It's about changing roles with your mother or your family. We should
Oh,
exchange. We do.
yeah, we
But here's
definitely do.
Jade Waddle. Oh, there you go. In pre-birth, hey, thank you, got it. Thank you, Renee. In pre-birth planning, are you saying we choose experience such as role reversal with a parent? Yes, we're learning both sides about a mother and father, what it's like to be a mother, what it's like to be a father, what it's like to have an easy child, have a child that's an easy child or a difficult child. What are we going to do with that? Can the parent be a young soul? Yes. Thank you.
100%.
My father was much younger than me in that I didn't really relate to my dad as far as on the same level. I always felt like I was a father to that soul.
Yeah.
And I just know that my experience was I was more aware of things than he was. Didn't make him a bad man at all. But I just knew that. I just felt that.
Right.
Kelly, you too. You
Oh,
felt
I knew that I was the leader of my pack. Way more than the rest of them. My mother and my father. Yeah.
And here's a question by Jerry Dombrowski, and she said, "What are some advanced lessons we might have planned on for the other side?" Well,
Let me just give you an example of of an advanced lesson. The woman who just wrote that they lost their grandson, and after I think the baby lived for 10 hours or something, or 10 days ago.
True.
That's an advanced lesson for a soul. When you lose a child, a baby, a child, that's the advanced lesson. That puts you right at the top of advanced. Can you think of anything? Or when you take on, let's say you take on a physical ailment. I mean, a big physical handicap.
100%.
That's a big one too, is that right?
Autism
Autism is a big one. If you come in on the spectrum, absolutely.
I think transgender, the whole thing we're going through right now.
Huge.
I think they're working out integration, if you will, but I think you take on advanced souls take on the hardest lessons, whether changing society, whether changing the paradigm. They create a paradigm shift.
Yes, James, there are souls that come to change a paradigm. You're absolutely right.
I know murders, children that were murdered. So I knew a group of mothers and that got together, murdered mothers of children were murdered, and lessons about this. These are advanced lessons. These are real advanced ones that change things that have changed the human consciousness too. It is a shift. There's a shift.
Yes.
It's advanced. I want to finish reading this if I could. It says, so two of the most common falsehoods are powerless and was unworthy or worthless. A basic spiritual tenet is that there is no unexpressed consciousness. So if either of these beliefs or feelings is within your consciousness, regardless of whether it is the conscious, subconscious, or unconscious level, it will manifest in your life, sometimes in the form of a traumatic experience. From our human vantage point, that may seem harsh or punitive. The universe's intention, however, is to mirror you to you, so that any aspects of self that are indeed in need of healing will be brought into the light of greater awareness, where you may then set about healing them. This is one of the basic fundamental purposes served by life in a physical dimension.
James, that is so right on accurate. So it's the law actually of abundance, because what happens is it will come to you.
It's true. And also, I read this thing here. I put this down my notes. At the most basic level, the pre-birth contract is the same for everyone. Embrace, transmute all discordant, unloving energies, including beliefs or feelings that are untrue and thus unloving towards self. Energies we have not transmuted from any life will come to us in this life, so they may be transmuted. We all requested this opportunity before we were born. Indeed, it was a prerequisite for birth into the physical realm at this time. This lifetime is therefore of primary importance in the cosmic calendar. We are here to integrate into the whole of our being, and in doing so, heal the remnants of all unintegrated energies from all our lives, both physical and non-physical.
Wow. And I loved when you were talking about that, because in that spiritual law, it doesn't matter if you are unconscious or conscious. If you are unconscious, you are going to get something mirrored to you until such a time where you wake up and become conscious. And that's
in other words, if you have certain people that behave a certain way, the same people, same type of behaviors
over and over. Mm-hmm.
You got to pay attention. You got to wake up.
You have to pay attention, because you have to wake up. That's what this lifetime is about. And that's always what we come to do when we're born. It's always what we plan in, that we're going to wake up and we're going to be different this time. So this time, really be different.
Wake up.
Wake up. Oh my gosh. So Paul Katz asks, are these role planning sessions generational? I'm trying to wrap my brain around how my parents or grandparents and I decided who would play what roles if they're already on the earthly plane. Or is that, as an example, my soul is communicating with their higher selves to decide the role before I come in? Now, you're all in a group on the other side before you plan this.
Yes, I think, Paul, you're overthinking it. So again, don't overthink it. It's what it is, and that's all that is. And there could be possibilities, of course, that you were your great-great-grandfather or grandmother.
Right.
So we tend to come back in third or fourth generations in the physical. Right. And we're also talking about, I guess you say, genetic healing or heredity. You know, we're working out those lines of healing in the heredity as well. So
and intergenerational.
Intergenerational. So whether it's even a disease like diabetes or heart disease or mental disorder, whatever it might be, it almost has to work through the generations in order to be healed.
Right. Beth Glomsky says, I needed to hear this tonight. I had a brain aneurysm in May, and I've forgotten to meditate on what that taught me. And that's the truth. If you have an aneurysm, well, if you have anything physical, what is it teaching you?
So, okay. You brought me back to a memory, Kelly White. You did that to me just now.
Good.
Many years ago in a workshop, and I don't know where the workshop was, but when I do my meditations, of course, I don't remember the meditations. They're just on the spot, but you just opened up something in that space. I remember I did a meditation once, and I had everyone scan through their bodies and just go from the top of the head to the bottom of their feet and become aware of the energies moving through the body, whether it's colors and with the breath just going through it, the whole body. And if you come to a space in the body somewhere where there's like a little bit of, I guess you'd say, stoppage or a shortage of energy, or there's a blockage of some kind, and if it feels like it's not in balance and it's not at ease, what is that block about? So let's say that block is a blob or even a pimple inside the body. What's causing it? What is that pimple made of? What's the inside of that? What's creating that? And it was really interesting because there were all emotional charges that were not dealt with. as people did this meditation. And I didn't know how it was going to happen, but they said, "Oh, well, this happened when I was 7 years old. This happened when I was 3 years old. Or when I came before I came back, I knew that my mother and father were going to be addicts, but I had to take this life on anyway to learn about the addiction and whatever it was." So that just reminded me of that meditation. And that's a good one, to scan yourself within and see what's not at ease. See what's imbalanced, and look and see what's causing that. What's the root problem? You can say, what's the root of it? And many times it's emotional. Many times it's
Oh,
emotional.
absolutely.
And genetic healing. It could be you're healing from generations before, for sure.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That was great, James. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
It's a good one. Renee Hansel says,
yeah.
potion. Renee says, hi, Renee Hansel. She says, would it be that maybe we come to assist our soul group here and are observing and holding space and energy? Absolutely.
I think that's part of it, Renee. I think that's part of it, but we cannot forget about ourselves as well, because we
Yeah.
wouldn't waste this valuable time on this earth plane just to help the soul group. In helping ourselves, we help the soul group. So it's almost like as we evolve, they evolve too. You can't just evolve separately. In some way, it's like someone has about the soul and say, well, it's kind of like water. There's no limit to it. So it bleeds into each other. So you, believe it or not, whether you're conscious or not of your thoughts and your feelings, your family, your closest friends will feel that on some level. I know throughout my day, Kelly White is aware of everything I'm doing
It's
because
true.
we're just connected.
Actually, that's true.
It's true. And the more
We call each other at the same time.
amazing, we're the same colors in the show. It's because we're all connected, and the closer you are to someone, that vibration is closer. And I was just talking about this weekend, my Facebook Live I did for I'm doing an animal course, which is coming up. But
Yes.
but in the course, I teach people or help them to remember, I should say, blending your thought with the thought of the animal and bringing them to that level where you become them, they become you. The living animals, by the way, the living and also the ones that are deceased. But I first teach you in this course about taking that thought vibration, that energy, and really sharing it with that loving being, that animal. And I did it with Maisie for years, and it works. And you can do you can do it. I mean, one exercise I was telling you about was go into a separate room in your house, and if you have a kitty or a dog or something in the house, sit there in another separate room and send them a thought about coming into that room, just coming to that room, and maybe doing an action like licking your hand or sitting down or hopping up at the bed or whatever it might be, and try it, because you'll be so surprised. And the more you communicate with them, like way they receive it. It's always the human that blocks it, because the human judges things. Where animals are just there. They're just beings. They're beings of light. So share that.
Tell
That's
everybody.
what practically,
Tell everybody about on Sunday when you were doing your event on Sunday. You said you had somebody. You talked about the soul who had the indentation, because I always think of animals with this. So,
yes. Animals in many readings you've done and I've done, where animals have come back and talked about, I'm next to you, in the bed, you feel me, in the person, like, yes, I do. Or the doggy bed is an invitation there. When Maisie passed over, no, it wasn't Maisie. Sorry, it was Boo Boo. My first dog passed over. Maisie was still alive, and I was watching TV in my bedroom, and I was in a chair and watching TV, and Maisie was next to me, down my feet on the rug. And we hear this noise, and we look over, and our first dog, Boo Boo, just passed. And there was an indentation in the bed where Boo Boo used to sleep. That wasn't there 5 minutes before. So I did a reading on Sunday. I was in an event, and the last message was for this lady whose husband had passed. And she was so great in that. I love giving messages to recipients who are just humble and nice and relaxed and love. And as you do too.
totally, yeah.
Renee, you're an example of that. Renee, I'm reading for you. It's great to work with people that just are open, and this lady was so kind, and you're able to bring more stuff in then when they're kind and open.
Oh, easy, yeah.
The husband talked about how she wears his bathrobe to bed every night, and how the indentation in the mattress after he died, that was him. He just wanted to validate that with her. And that she smells his aftershave, and she smelled it 2 nights before, and she said yes. And then he said, but you went in the bathroom today and sprayed it, so you smelled it again. And she said, I did that this morning. So, yeah, it's amazing, isn't
I
it?
ldon't that. I love that.
Yeah.
I had a wild one the other day, James. A woman came to me. I was doing a reading for her, and I said, I don't know why I have to say this. Your dad is yelling out, Howard, Howard, Howard. And she said, her head almost exploded. She said, Howard is the name that my dad used to call God. He didn't believe in mediums or psychics. He said, if I ever come back, I'm going to call myself Howard. Yeah, and we were both just shook like that. We just both were
Isn't that
stunned.
great?
It's
They
great,
have a great
yeah.
sense of humor on the other side. They really have a great sense
They
of
really
humor.
have a great sense of humor. That is so true.
I often will say, why do I want you to laugh more? Why don't you dance more? Why don't you laugh more? Life is too short. Start laughing, start living joyfully, you know. And I always say joy is part of the journey. Journey. Joy is part of the journey. It's
Oh,
in the moment. And it's when I went to the store today when I got the hat and it was the Halloween thing. It was so funny when I was down the aisle waiting for the cash register and the person in front of me or behind me, I was like, look at all this Halloween stuff. I said, wow, I'm waiting for Christmas. Is that tomorrow? Because there's some things on a Halloween and we're in July.
so
And you know,
crazy.
a lady, a couple of people said, you are so funny. You are so fun. Thank you for making my day. And you know, it's just you gotta just have fun with people, especially now. Try to
Right.
make it a better place. It's all
Oh,
difficult.
please. Now, here's a great question. This is from Missy Jade Waddle. She says, a strange pre-birth question. Is it possible for a soul to choose a contract that is just too challenging? I've chosen a very, very hard contract, but I feel that it is so difficult to the point that I've completely isolated myself due to past trauma. I feel so stuck and I'm trying so hard by doing lots of spiritual work with James. You've been taking all his classes. I'm still having difficulty functioning. Yeah, I mean, sometimes people take on a real challenging life. I think we've all taken on real challenging lives here. And is it possible that you've taken too much? It's possible, but here's what I would say on that, because you're talking about trauma. I would say find a really great trauma therapist. You can certainly go to traumahealing.org, or Psychology Today also has a bunch of therapists on, and try to find one that you can afford that's in your area. Just keep looking, because I know that that's what you need.
Yeah, and another different perspective too is that the human experience is difficult. It's a
It
hard,
is.
and it reminds me when I took algebra, and I hated algebra, and I
Oh,
wanted to perfect algebra, but I hated
oh my
algebra
God,
because
I hated it.
it wasn't my mindset. I am more creative. I'm not more analytical, so it was really hard. But I put myself in bookkeeping, and I got A+ in bookkeeping. It was great because it was creative. So I would say the answer to this question is, you know, and this happened the other day, and a friend of mine pointed this out at my event I was at, that we're on a lot of spiritually minded people, and they talk the talk, but they don't do the work.
Right.
So you can come back and we pick a lot of hard classes, a lot of hard lessons, but if you don't take the time to go to yourself, you could take 20,000 courses and nothing will happen if you don't start here. What's your relationship with self? You
Right.
first love yourself. If you love yourself, have joy with self, understand self, you'll be able to get through any struggle because you always have yourself. There's nothing you can't do. Nothing we can't do, but you first can only do it if you're that relationship with yourself. And love is love. There's no such thing as fear in the spiritual dimensions. Fear is of the human. Fear is a limitation that we place on ourselves as human consciousness. But really, love is who we are. So we first have to have this strength within ourselves, and you can do anything. You can do anything. So don't limit yourself. If I am talking here with you guys for 40 years of doing this work, I'm talking to dead people in 40 years. If you asked me 40 years ago, and people did, what are you going to do? I said, well, I think I might be a medium. Are they going to get paid? I don't know how I'm going to pay it. I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm going to find people, pay my rent, pay my groceries. And it worked because I had faith in the work, in that loving energy that I was luckily and fortunate enough to be leasing. Okay, to be a part of that, and that got me through it. That faith, that courage, that love, and love of self. And I'm not talking about ego self. I'm talking about that love of that life force that's within us all. And you have to find it within yourself because it's different in each one of us. It's a different footprint or fingerprint. Everybody's unique. So your fingerprint is very, very different. But I think it's so much fun finding that art of discovery of self. That's part of the fun of the journey, is going in and discovering that. Now, okay, that's not going to work for me. That's going to work for me. Oh, that's it's like designing a room, setting up like I have an office here. My bedroom made into an office. How is that chair going to go there? How is the color going to go with that color? How do the aspects go together? That's part of this journey of learning about yourself. It's not a punishment, and you don't
No.
have to make it a punishment. You should make it a joyful, fun journey. Hello. Seriously, it's not real. This is an illusion. But
Oh my gosh.
real. Only love is real. That's it.
Right. Oh my God. Thank you, James. That was
I
beautifully
could help.
said. That was great. Patrick Horan says, "Hi, Patrick." He says, "Hi, Kelly and James. Do we
I
plan our sexuality, whether we will be gay or straight, or is that part of our free will?"
at this point, if they're breathing, I'm good. Sexuality. What's that?
I think we do plan this.
I think that if we want to look at the sexuality thing, it's I think it's energy. Everything is energy, and it's really expressing energy or learning about what that feels like to be, let's say, a male energy or a female energy. I think of both, really, but it's what we want to express in the lifetime, and what lessons does that soul have to learn? So if that soul becomes a male who's attracted to other men, then there's other lessons in that. If they're attracted to women, then there's a lesson that, or same thing with women, or women with men. It's just lessons. And then there's the transgender, which is happening now, because when I walked into the store to buy the hat, I said, "Where are the men's clothes?" And the lady said, "Oh, they're for everyone." I said, "You got it." Because it really is. I mean, it's humans that make these laws up. But I think it's really how you express yourself. What lessons are you learning? Being, if you will, appearing that way or behaving a certain way. That's what it's about. I think love is love is love. But I don't know. I've lived a gay life. I know gay, straight, whatever it was. I've loved people, whether it's women or men or animals. Love is love to me. So I don't get put in boxes.
Mm. Oh my
That's really,
gosh. Wow. Um,
I'm glad I had the opportunity to love. That's the most important,
right?
right? Because a lot of
Oh
people don't
yeah.
want to have that opportunity, and they lock themselves down. And
Howard E says, "Are the kids that were killed at Uvalde advanced souls?" Yes.
without a doubt, and Vance, I believe in many of the tragedies that happen, whether it's
Mhm.
shootings, whether it's mass tragedies like even World War II. I think that many of those beings were advanced souls to teach the human race what you can't do, that what's not allowed, that murder is not the right thing to do. And I think there are souls that are, learning this. Unfortunately, there's baby souls here still trying to learn about that because we still have wars. I thought about this today driving my car. Like, wow, human beings, they still kill one another. That this isn't
I
a
know.
species. They eat their own. The species, they kill their own species.
Right.
What is
Well,
that about?
and I also think that when souls come here, when I think the other side is very sad, actually, they worry,
Yeah,
and
it's
that level of they know that we're going to be okay. Our soul's going to be okay. We're going to come back, but just knowing what we're going to be going through, I think is rough.
Kelly, I also think that part of our the guidance system, if you will,
Mhm.
those beings of guides or teachers or helpers, inspirers, philosophers, take care of us, who really try to enhance us, influence us.
Yes.
That
Yes.
positive energy of the spirit world of love, they really, and the more open we are, the more we can feel it and use that. But we take on those human concepts and the human behavior sometimes so strongly that we kind of forget that spiritual sense of ourselves. And it's so
Yes.
interesting because we're first and foremost spirit beings, not the
Right.
human. It's only human, these traits for just a short period. We're a soul having a human experience, not the
Right.
other way around. And that's what I think really this other side works really hard at
Oh,
impressing and influencing us.
yeah.
And you got to think about it also. And I want everyone to think about this. And Lynn Probert was great talking about this. The intelligence of that world,
Mm.
the intelligence of that, where you have change of seasons, we have planets moving around. You talk about the stars and the aspects. Who creates all that? That movement of all that, that's pretty beyond human belief. So
Right.
the intelligence there is pretty incredible when you think of it.
Right. Right. Oh God, James. So true. So let's see. Joanne Wagner says lifetimes of abuse, breaking the link in this lifetime, changing generations before and after. It's exactly why we
Stopping
come.
patterns, stopping
Yep.
patterns. You would have come back in this lifetime just to break that pattern of the family. That
Mm-hmm.
habit. Addictions also break the pattern. If you're an addiction for your family, alcoholism, substance abuse, codependency, physical abuse, stop it this lifetime. You have the opportunity, and you've come
Yeah.
back to this lifetime for the opportunity to break it. That you don't
Right.
need to be a victim. No more victim consciousness. Hello. No more
Right.
victim consciousness, please. Life is too hard. Don't suffer. No suffering souls here. Thank you.
Right.
We talked. Remember this weekend? I told that expression. You said, "I got to remember that expression."
Yeah. No suffering
Suffering
souls.
souls. Can't do it.
Yeah. We can't do it. I mean,
Right.
you don't want to be a victim. You don't want to be a victim.
No.
You gotta
Because
let
because
go of
we're
that victim mentality.
because we're magnets, and you're gonna have that
Right.
victim mindset. You're gonna bring that into your life. You do not want that. It's hard enough down here.
Right, right. Oh my gosh. So people are asking about the course that's coming up, James, your animal
The
course.
animal course. The animal course. The first workshop is August 10th, but it's I dedicated. Well, don't make me cry. I'm gonna cry now. I want to do something for Maisie. I think everyone knows Maisie or knew about Maisie, and I wanted to create another kind of animal course dedicated to Maisie. So she kind of helped me a little bit to make this happen.
She's a
So
good girl.
she's a good girl. 2 days ago, I mean, sorry, 2 years ago, I did an animal course with Samantha Curry, and she's wonderful. We've had her on the show.
Oh, she's great.
She's great. She's a great animal communicator. She's going to join me again. So if you sign up for the course, you get everything we did 2 years ago, and that was a whole course in itself. And then we're going to do 2 live workshops on Zoom. So the first was August 10th. The next one will be, I think, 2 weeks later. So if you want to interested in that, and it's going to be when the first workshop, we're going to teach people about what I was just mentioning to you, blending your thoughts to the animals and how to communicate while they're still in the physical, like I did with Maisie when she was here, when like
Yep.
Samantha helped me with Maisie was here, and also when they pass over, how you can be your own medium, if you will, and tune into that space. And they're so free to do that. So those are 2 nights we're going to be doing those 2 nights, the living and those passed over, and in the intelligence of an animal. We're going to talk all of those lovely things. So the whole description is on the in the school page. JP, there is right there, School of the Arts.
I think
So
that's
it's
going
gonna
to
be
be
fun. It's
great.
great. Working with animals. I mean, come on, it's the
Oh, it
best.
doesn't get. And then next week we have an interesting guest. Next week we're going to be talking about feng shui.
Yes, and this is a young lady that was in my course, writer's course that I do. My writer's course, I'm doing it this fall, and she wrote a book because we have to you refer the book in my writer's course, and I helped with it. And she came back to me to help her with this and do a blurb for her, which I did, and she got a book contract, and I'm helping her change that. I don't want to say the same. Maybe it's someone else, another publisher. So I'm helping with that. But she's a designer, and she uses feng shui. She's also like a feng shui. I would say she's a master, but she wouldn't think of herself like that. But really using those techniques of feng shui, of energy clearing, and how to set really your house or your space up using or design it using feng shui, the basic techniques of feng shui from the front door back.
So important. And with these energies right now, I think it's critical. Frankly, I'm excited. I'm so excited to have her on as our guest. It's going to be so
And then
fun.
Kelly came up with a great idea this weekend. Was it this weekend?
Remind me, what was it?
Dowsing. We're going to do a show on
Oh,
dowsing.
we're doing this show on dowsing. That's coming up. I forget in our schedule. We've got a big rotation, but it's coming up, and then we're going to do a show on ley lines.
Yes, wasn't that great, Kelly?
That was great. Both of them. I mean, and they're separate shows, but they're going to be so much information and so interesting.
I've worked with ley lines. You've worked with ley lines. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. Nancy Lee says, James and Kelly, can you suggest a book on reincarnation or pre-birth planning? What was the book you were reading, James?
Well, there's a couple of different ones. Destiny of the Souls is very good.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Souls.
Michael Newton.
Michael Newton's Destiny of Souls. Anything by Michael Newton is great. I've got pre-birth planning. There's a book called Life Before Life by Helen Wambach, who's incredible. I read that book many years ago. You can get it on Amazon. It's a limited supply, but that was a great book. Helen Wambach, Life Before Life. And it talks about the soul, and she hypnotizes them, regresses them back to pre-birth. And it was really interesting because there are some of those souls that say, I'm coming to a very difficult family, but I have an obligation with my father. I got to be there. And I'm coming to a situation where there's not a lot of money financially. And my father's really worried about money. And my mother has all these different scenarios that soul has to come in with. So that's a great one, Life Before Life. And I remember, and also Past Life Regression. So Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss is great. I remember I did a regression with Brian Weiss, and he took the audience back, and I was in there to when they were in the embryo. What are you feeling?
Wow.
I'll never forget. I connected with my mother. I was telepathically connecting with her, and she was drinking. And I kept on, and she was smoking. And those 50s, you did that, I guess. And I kept on saying, and I get this toxic feeling, this vinegary, stinging feeling. And then I said, it's going to harm us. It's going to harm us. Don't do that. It's going to harm us. And babies do that. Those souls will do that for the mother. There's that telepathic connection. So that's the experience. Like, those are the books I'd recommend.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, everybody, have a great week. James, thank you so much. That was a great show.
Thanks, Renee.
Everybody. I'll see you Thursday. Everybody watch me on Ask Me Anything on Thursday.
Can I ask you anything on Thursday?
Ask me anything.
Okay.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kelly White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.
The James and Kelly Show.